Why, hello there. It is NFL Points, Picks, and Props. We are back. We had a little summer vacation. We talked to you last in May, right before the NFL draft. Few things have happened since then, but you're a football fan. That's why you're tuning in. So we're not going to recover or recap everything that's happened. We're just going to talk about what's happened right now and what's going to happen in the future. And joining me, as always, the great Ben O'Connell, who is down on the bottom of the screen. He is in Chicago, Illinois. Tommy Burch is in Springfield, Massachusetts, and I'm Kyle Garlett in Denver, Colorado. And this is our pre-training camp show. And so to get things off, we've got a little ticker there that's going to tell you every team and when they start their camp. That first date is the rookies. Second date is the veterans. And if you only see one date, it's because they're all starting at the same time. We are recording this on Monday, July 17th. Training camps open on Tuesday, July 18th. And we can't be more excited. Fellas, welcome back. Are you pumped? I cannot wait for this season.
I can't get the smile on my face. I'm cheesing right now. I'm so happy. Football is back. Let's go.
Well, it's been a long 6 year or so break since the Broncos have played football. We choose to not remember what's happened since the great Peyton Manning has retired. And so, yes, it's great to come out of a long hibernation, the first year back, right? Right. That's what this is. Just only looking forward. Screw what's in the rear view.
Prior to hitting the record button here, we're talking about the Chiefs and Broncos current streak. I believe it's 15 straight games won by Kansas City, and that actually extends back to when Peyton Manning was a Denver Bronco. How about that for a fun fact?
Well,
Or fun for some of us, maybe not so.
We only remember the first couple. Then I'll tell you what, it's not 15 to us.
Even after all 6 of these years, you still remember losing to the Chiefs.
Dude, probably. Yeah, you could tell me the score. I could probably tell you what happened too. It's pretty bad.
So, hey guys, there was some news today.
Yes.
Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley, neither one of them signed a long-term deal. They have to play on the tag this year if they want to get credit for this year, but then they're going to be free agents. And it's all about, man, are running backs no longer valued in this league? Why are running backs not getting any money? What's the deal with running backs? Why do they suck so much?
It's unbelievable. Honestly, from my own personal perspective, these guys need to get their bread. They need to get paid. I mean, honestly, the running back is one of the most impactful positions in football. And how are you refusing to pay a guy like Dalvin Cook isn't even on this? He wants $10 million. You can't even do that for him. One of the best quality running backs in the league. I mean, come on. Nobody wants to give him that money. Ridiculous, ridiculous. They need to get paid. They do.
Listen, I get it, especially as a Broncos fan, dude. With the fear of having a serious injury come up to a star running back like Javonte Williams with that double ligament tear, like that's some nasty stuff. And we see running backs get injured all the time. However, what I think the nerds in the front office fail to remember sometimes is how dynamic and how impactful a great dynamic running back can be. Like if you find these value players like Josh Jacobs, like Saquon Barkley, who aren't just any other running back, they deserve that kind of money. Is it a risky investment? Yes, but this is a risky business, and they deserve to be paid for putting their health on that risk too, right? So, yeah, dude, it's kind of incredible to me that they're not getting paid.
At least
I've
me
got
per. Oh, sorry.
go ahead, Tommy.
I mean, personally, I think that running backs should be valued as much as they are valued in fantasy PPR leagues because that is exactly how good they are. Like, I know that's a very baseline, basic interpretation, but I mean, you can't. There's not another guy that you can throw on the field that's gonna run somebody over and just take every hit and like that you can possibly imagine. And these little dainty wide receivers are sliding and afraid of contact, but these running backs are doing the same thing, but also coming out of the backfield and catching passes. It's like,
Let me be a devil's advocate here because I came across this stat. These are the leading rushers for the last like 15 Super Bowl teams. So and what they made. So last year, Isaiah Pacheco for the Chiefs was a 7th-round pick, making less than $1 million. In 2021, it was Cam Akers making 1.1 million. Leonard Fournette for the Bucks, 2 million. Damian Williams when the Chiefs won, he was making just over $1 million. Sony Michel for the Patriots, 480,000. LeGarrette Blount was making 760. The Broncos when they last won, C.J. Anderson, 585 grand. Percy Harvin when the Seahawks won, he was their leading rusher. He actually was making 2.5. That is the most of any Super Bowl winning running back since 2009 when Pierre Thomas was making 460,000. James Starks won for the Packers in 2010, $320,000. So I get what you're saying, and there's no question that these running backs bust their asses and get abused, and they are over the hill by 28, 29 because every game is like being involved in a car crash. But in terms of making your team a Super Bowl contender, running backs clearly aren't that good. I mean, they're not. I don't want to say they're not important, but they're not. They don't lead to championships like a quarterback does. Like what the Tennessee Titans hope that DeAndre Hopkins will do. What the Vikings are expecting out of Justin Jefferson. Why they can move on from guys. Why the Dolphins gave so much money to Tyreek Hill. So it's not an easy answer because yes, these guys should get paid more, but if you're an NFL GM and you're roster building and you have finite funds and you've got now all these defensive tackles that are signing for over 20 million a year, you've got your defensive ends, you've got these cornerbacks who are now getting over 20 million. You've got tackles and guards that are all making over north of 20 million. Where's the money left over for running backs? And is it worth then obviously like Saquon Barkley makes the Giants offense go. We know that. But do you invest 13, 14 million dollars in a guy over the course of 3 to 4 years when he's got an injury history like he does? Or Josh Jacobs, who he led the league in rushing last year and has been pretty good, but he also had a couple of years where he was kind of pointless. And it's not as though the Raiders were a good offense last year with the NFL's leading rusher. It's not as though the Browns have been a good offense with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt as great backs. So it's a tough spot to be in. My advice, if you're the parent of a young stud athlete, start having them play cornerback. Have them go out and play wide receiver.
Corner?
Don't make them a running back. Have them play somewhere else on the football field.
I'm like kicker. No, like minimal contact. They still get to have fun at the games. I mean, corner is the hardest position in football, so I can't even.
But I'm just saying, if you're gonna make some money doing. If you're a great corner, you're gonna make some money.
Yeah,
sorry, go for it.
All right. I mean, I think that I'm totally with you on all of that. I think that the running back is a very valuable position, but at the same time, it's not about how valuable the position is or the player is to the team. It's more about the fact that you have a certain amount of money, and these other guys are also incredibly impactful to the game. So it's almost like just a sad state of affairs. Like how the fullback just left the game. I mean, it's coming back, but it was a very valuable position for a while, and it still is to some teams. But they're losing their bread because it's just circumstance and how the game changed.
Well, Christian McCaffrey is the highest paid running back in the league, and he's kind of a unicorn.
And he's incredible.
Most of the other running backs are not nearly as diverse as he is in terms of the way he affects a football game.
What I will say, kind of just to lastly touch on this, I think to your point that the difference between the two players that we're talking about in the list of the Super Bowl running backs, right, is the identity built around them, right? Like Saquon Barkley is the Giants' offense in more ways than one, not just on-field production, but from a marketing standpoint, from so I hear what you're saying, and I think it's true that I don't think that you in the modern NFL can value a running back at that level anymore. But at the same time, I feel like these guys are just anomalies in what they bring to the organization and have brought the past few years. But then again, you don't get paid for what you have done. You get paid for what they think you can produce. And the GMs obviously have a set, idea of how they want their rosters to be formed, and only time can tell, if it's going to work out or not.
Well, maybe Bijan Robinson can really show that yes, drafting a guy in the top 10 at running back is still worth it. Maybe he has a terrific rookie year for the Falcons.
Dude, I'm rooting for him. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, well, they're a fun run team anyway, so I think he'll be a lot of fun. The other news that happened actually yesterday, Tennessee Titans have signed DeAndre Hopkins. Prior to the signing, they were plus 8,000 to win the Super Bowl. Now that they've signed him, they are plus 8,000 to win the Super Bowl. This is the biggest non-signing, and we're going to do some rants later on. But DeAndre Hopkins, I want to win a Super Bowl. I want to play with a quarterback who's great. Oh, no, you're going to offer me $13 million more, and nobody else is going to. I'm going to go ahead and sign with a team that has no shot at winning their division, no shot at winning a playoff game, has no shot at winning the Super Bowl. So DeAndre Hopkins has announced to the world he is fine retiring from football without a championship after he did all that song and dance about he just wanted to go and play for a winner. And I'm disappointed because DeAndre Hopkins is one of my favorite players. And for this, I'm going to be rooting against him. Oh, I wanted to show what you guys, I have one little tidbit here. Okay, so the Tennessee Titans may have, you may remember, they did this same thing with Julio Jones a couple of years ago. Julio Jones, the year before he signed or before he was traded to Tennessee, and the Titans did all that song and dance. He played 9 games, had 771 yards, 3 touchdowns, and then we know that he was a washout with the Titans. DeAndre Hopkins last year played 9 games, 717 yards, 3 touchdowns. So he is Julio Jones part 2. And we know that part 1 was absolute garbage. So why would the Titans, who are in a transition, they have now 2 years in a row tried to find the quarterback to replace Ryan Tannehill. So they now go out and get a 31-year-old wide receiver who hasn't had 1,000 yards in a couple of seasons and think that this is going to be the way?
I mean,
I'm disgusted.
I'm also disgusted at this from both ends, from the Titans end and from DeAndre's end, because he could have. I mean, he's only got a few real good years left, at maximum 2 or 3 really good years left in him, and you send him to. He legitimately. This is a big old circle. He's basically back in Houston right now. I mean, with all the quarterback struggles, how many touchdown passes has he caught from different quarterbacks in the same organization, and now he's about to have the same goddamn thing. He has, and the worst part is, I mean, I'm going to talk about this later because I'm very passionate about this part. Will Levis was supposed to be fighting for the Ryan Tannehill job, and now he's fighting for the backup job with Malik Willis. So now we have 3 mediocre to below mediocre quarterbacks that are throwing him the ball. Like, what does he expect is going to happen? Like, did he think that Will Levis was going to – I mean, we all knew that Will Levis was not doing very good, like, since before he signed. So I don't know where the mindset's at. I mean, I guess maybe this could be different than Julio because – Julio had Matt Ryan his entire career, and then, DeAndre's dealt with bad quarterbacks, so maybe there's something we can, a little morsel we can pull out of that, but I don't believe in it. I really love DeAndre, but I'm sorry, I'm rooting on the Titans' downfall right now.
The real winner is just the Titans marketing team, you can give these Titans fans a reason to believe because we know that they'll latch on to any that's what this is really to me. I don't see this making a better football team. This is not. I agree with the odds. The odds are the exact same. You don't have someone to get him the football and to utilize him properly. And even if you did, I highly doubt that they have that they don't have that system in place. They don't have the personnel to really do it anyway. So, how are you going to get the full value out of him? You can't. It makes no sense. Money speaks obviously, but yeah, from a competitive standpoint, hard to see the logic. Hard to see the logic.
Yeah, their offensive line is terrible, and this really has got to be the last year Derrick Henry is there. I just can't imagine. I mean, I like Derrick Henry and what he accomplished, but we just talked about the life of running backs, and he is no longer that 2,000-yard guy. He's no longer a threat. He's not really a threat to lead the league in rushing anymore. He's just too banged up. And this is a team that needs to rebuild, and rebuilding does not mean you go out and spend all this money on a 31-year-old wide receiver. It just doesn't make any sense for either party. And yeah, look, I don't want everyone to tell somebody they shouldn't go for the cash, but DeAndre Hopkins has made $111 million in his career. It's not as though this was his chance for a payday. This is actually less money than he's been making. He's made a lot of money over his career. He's taking the highest check he can get right now so he can play for a team that maybe at best will win 7 games this year. And I think that's just, I think that's weak. But he gets to do what he ever wants to do. I'm just glad he didn't go to the Bills because I think he would have made the Bills better. I think I think going to New England would have been interesting. I think that I'm a little disappointed they didn't some of the Patriots because I think that could have made that offense. I know he doesn't get along with Bill O'Brien all that well, but I think that he could stomach that to go up and see if they can't make the Patriots a playoff team, see if he can't turn Mac Jones into a legitimate top 10 quarterback. I think that could have been fun, but now he's just going to sit and rust down there in Nashville. All right. We mentioned him earlier in the game or in the show, Dalvin Cook. Where's this guy going to go? Who should sign Dalvin Cook? Where's the best fit? What do you guys think?
I mean, for me, it's just like he apparently. I mean, this is just speculative from Boomer Esiason. He was saying that he doesn't want to go back to Minnesota, but Minnesota did offer him $7 million a year to come back on their own dime,
Okay.
which is, but obviously with everything, and they were really excited about Alexander Mattison and like him being the RB1. So I'm not too keen on him going back to Minnesota, but the offer is on the table. I mean, everybody's going to talk about Miami because every running back, they're like one of their top 3 teams is Miami. But I think personally, my sleeper pick for who I think could pick up Dalvin is Cincinnati. And just hear me out before we
I
get,
don't.
because it's a bit, they just lost Perrine, and then Joe Mixon is dealing with the criminal charges, obviously. And there is a real world scenario where Joe Mixon gets released from the team or his role is minimized, whatever, trade him somehow. I don't know if Joe Mixon is going to stay on this team. And without a real, solid backup or somebody who can really take good carries, I think Dalvin Cook and it's probably incentive for him because since he's really good, and if they have a spot open for him and they're already really good, imagine they add such a dynamic rushing attack. And then you got, even if Joe Mixon stays and Dalvin's the number 1 and Joe Mixon's the number 2 or something like that, which is crazy. But I mean, that's one of the best offenses in the league, and it already is up there. I think it would be great with him in Cincy.
Yeah, I like that. I like that as a fit.
I
think.
Yeah, I'm kind of stuck between Miami. It just is such an attractive fit. You know what I mean? I really don't know. The Bears have the cap space. It seems like something that they would do. That they kind of like going after names, and I think that it wouldn't be a horrible fit either. I think that would actually make the Bears maybe one of the most interesting ground game teams in the league.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that excites me the way that Miami does. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm kind of up in the air on that one.
Yeah, I could see that the Miami fit as well. The one thing with Cincinnati is that they don't have a lot of money to give to him because they've got a Burrow contract coming, they've got a Jamar Chase contract coming, and they got to figure out what they're going to do with T. Higgins. So they've got some money that's going to be required here in the next year or two. And so maybe Cook becomes a 1-year rental, So maybe he cares about trying to play for a championship. Maybe he is the anti Hopkins and actually goes to Cincinnati because he knows that they are going to be a playoff team. But he's obviously a dynamic player, and whoever grabs him will be a better team. There's no question about that. Moving on from Dalvin Cook, the gentleman is named Carson Wentz. He was actually a good quarterback at one point. Is he over? Is he done? Is his career done? Is he now going to be a forever free agent? Is there anybody out there who wants to sign Carson Wentz?
Carson Wentz is ending up on an NFL roster. I'm sorry. I don't know if he's going to end up like as another journeyman that just spends every season he's on a new team. But I mean, realistically, Carson Wentz, even as a backup, is going to be a quality player. I mean, you saw him go in for Taylor Heineke towards the end of the season, and I mean, realistically, he didn't play that bad. I obviously, it's not like he's really blowing our minds, and he's showing us some incredible talent that he had in Philly, but like it's Carson Wentz is still like I think he's a smart player. He's a technical player, but he's just not that. He reminds me a lot of like a Ryan Fitzpatrick type towards the end of his career, where he was bouncing around. He gets in the game, he plays incredible, wins the starting job, and then like just flops. You know, and we're gonna see some sparks of Carson Wentz, and we're gonna see more of Carson Wentz. That's my personal opinion, but I don't think it's gonna end up being anything special.
I think he should. I think Tampa should reach out. That's kind of where I'm at. I mean, you kind of just have a whatever quarterback room right now, and it just kind of seems
Right.
like why not add another piece of whatever. Maybe something works, maybe not, but I don't know. I think I would rather have Carson Wentz than Trask or Mayfield. I can't say that with full confidence. I'm not really sure I'd want any of them. But yeah, man, I think I agree with Tommy. Carson Wentz is going to be somewhere. I don't think any fan base is going to be excited about him, but he's definitely going to end up somewhere.
Hey, NFL teams are still giving Sam Darnold a chance. They should give Carson Wentz a chance somewhere.
All right, come on now.
Gratuitous 49ers
realistically,
shot.
there's a world where I'd rather have Carson over Sam, but like that's just get into the nitty gritty.
All right, but there are some other free agents out there. Okay, so I'm going to go through this. So Jadeveon Clowney or Yannick Ngakoue, which of those two, if you need a pass rusher, well, we also got, there's Justin Houston out there, and there's, some other guys like that. But Clowney and Ngakoue are probably the two biggest names. If you've got to get a pass rusher, who are you signing?
Yannick. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, he's only 27 still.
You take the young man who's still
you want
more.
You want Jadeveon Clowney? How old was Jadeveon? Like 31, 32, and this dude's asking for like $30 million a year, and he can't like respectfully, you're getting Yannick at a younger age, just as much, if not more production, and a lower price tag. What are we talking about here? This isn't even a debate. Sorry, Jadeveon, like you were real good in college, but that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, he was the number 1 overall pick. I mean, geez, that's gotta account for something, right?
Are we gonna get into that? When is the conversation gonna start that Jadeveon's a bust?
I think it's been started. He's the only one who's not clued into it yet, I think.
I guess I wasn't either.
Yeah, dude, you look at his contract. Dude, he hasn't hit a payday, and there's a reason for it. I mean, he just hasn't lived up to the hype. He's one of those players that if I'm a GM, I'm kind of waiting to see who gets injured on my squad before I'm actually genuinely thinking about reaching out to him. Because I don't think that even if you sign him at the beginning of the season, that he will be healthy at the end of it. I think that you get maybe 7 games out of him regardless. So you got to. I would honestly just wait until it's a, hey man, we need you type of situation. It doesn't seem like a good investment. I mean, if you're talking about not wanting to invest in running backs, dude, how can you? I'm sorry, dude.
This dude started 10 games last season and played in 12 and had 2 sacks. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about Jadeveon Clowney for? Like, this dude is some like he's not even I would rather have Justin Houston's old ass than him. Like, what are we on right now?
Tommy, you line up across from Myles Garrett, you're getting more than 2 sacks. Because no one's ever double teaming you. You're never one time facing a double team with Myles Garrett on your same defensive line.
I would love it, man. I mean, if I'm lining up opposite Myles Garrett, I mean, a field day. You know what I'm talking about? No, I'll get smacked. I would get smacked.
All right, so we agree that Clowney is a clown. All right, so we've got two running backs out there right now. We already talked about Dalvin Cook, but Kareem Hunt, Ezekiel Elliott. These guys have futures? Who, and if so, which are you taking?
Which am I taking is wild. But I think that we just haven't seen like enough of Kareem Hunt because the dude is sitting behind one of the best running backs in the NFL. I mean, the guy
when he wasn't sitting behind anybody, he was a Chief and he was rookie of the year. He was a stud.
He was good, and that was a rookie. So imagine
that was Alex Smith at quarterback too.
Imagine you put him on like, all right, so we're gonna keep talking about Miami because it's Miami. Like if you put him on Miami and then you give him majority carries instead of sitting him behind one of the better guys, realistically, Kareem Hunt is gonna go crazy. We know what Zeke is like at the number one carries on his team, even like this team, I mean, we're talking about the Cowboys who were feeding him the ball regardless of his production and wanted him and started him, even though Tony Pollard was giving better production. And we know what Zeke's going to give us, but we don't I like the air of unknown around Kareem Hunt right now. And I think that he could really pop off.
Yeah.
I could, oh man, I'd probably go with Zeke. I think that Zeke is probably like Tommy said, more of a known commodity right now. I think you know what you're getting. But dude, yeah, no, Hunt had those flashes, dude, and he still does. Of just like you're just like, dude, so fast, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I find it odd that Zeke is still a free agent. I think it's funny that like the Texans or something haven't just scooped him up. It just tried to grab some Cowboy fans or whatever, you know. But yeah, I would probably just for the known quantity go with Zeke.
Yeah, I mean, we know that Zeke from short yardage is a study. Everybody needs a guy who can pick up that 1 or 2 yards when it's clutch, and we know that that's what he can do. So yeah, I'm a little surprised that he's still out there, you know, with camps opening and nobody's, you know, I haven't even heard anything about anybody even talking with him. I'm sure they have, but it doesn't seem like that there's much interest at the moment. But somebody will get hurt and somebody will benefit by signing him, I think. All right. And I think I can't remember if we were recording it or not. We talked about the possibility of Marcus Peters with the Raiders.
That was before we recorded.
Yeah, before we were recording. So let's talk about Marcus Peters. Super talented guy. He's now going to be on his 5th team. He wears out his welcome pretty quickly in locker rooms, but the guy does have a nose for the football. If you are needing a veteran cornerback, are you going to take a chance on Peters, or are you going to go somewhere else, or just let younger guys get the snaps?
I think that Marcus Peters is an asset to any defensive back group. I know that he's bounced around for good reason, but if you're going to pick up a guy who, I mean, he's pretty goddamn talented for a guy who's going for so cheap. So you pick up this guy and you want to I guess like if you're waiting for the draft, there's a really good corner prospect coming up and you're like, all right, I need to fill a gap and get some talent. I mean, he's a guy that I'm willing to go for. I mean, Vegas needs Marcus Peters. Vegas needs. I think that even Baltimore, like a return to Baltimore, could be something possible. But there's like, I mean, if I'm a GM, I mean, I feel like every GM would say this. Sitting down, talk to him probably doesn't work. But like, you know, I mean, you're gonna want a guy who's just good at football at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of great wide receivers in that AFC North there. So if you're the Ravens, you can never have too many good cornerbacks.
I do like the idea of him going to Vegas because doesn't that just kind of seem like a Raider thing to do? This guy just comes in,
Yeah.
and then by week 8, we hear that he's like, there's like upset, and then there's gonna be like by week 9 some weird cell phone footage that appears from a casino of him like drunk saying something about Josh McDaniels. Who knows, dude? I think it would be great. It'd be great. It'd be the most Raider thing they could do.
The
I don't know.
content would be crazy.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. That's my one concern. I mean, if you did go to Vegas, I'm not really confident in that locker room right now. I'm not confident that that is gonna if for someone who already, like you said, it kind of is has a quick turnaround. It would be interesting to bring him into what I perceive to be an unstable locker room right now.
I think unstable is a very, very soft word. I think that locker room is a
I'm trying to
mess.
be nice, man.
I
I'm
think
trying.
that
I'm just
Yeah.
trying to be nice.
nice, nice. We're unfiltered now.
Yeah, oh,
We're
you're right. You're
unfiltered
right.
now.
You're right. They were horrible and disorganized, and they still finished better than the Broncos last year. I don't even know what to say, man.
At
Well,
least we have hope for you. We don't have hope for Vegas.
they still had Derek Carr. That was why they were so good. That's a joke
Stop it.
for.
Yeah, there we go. New
Stop
Orleans
it.
scene. Derek Carr.
All right. That's the end of the free agents. Let's move on to camp here. So we're very excited. It all starts here on Tuesday. I think everybody and all of the veterans are in camp here by the 26th. I think that's the final day. Okay, so of the 32 NFL teams, who needs the best training camp? Who really has to have a good camp to set themselves up for the season?
Honestly, this might be a hot take on my end, but I'm saying Jacksonville because we had a great year out of Jacksonville, but at the end of the day, we're talking all oh yay Jacksonville, they're going to be great this year, whatever. It's one season. We've seen so many one season flukes, and we've seen a lot of excitement on teams that should have been better. We really do need a good camp out of Jacksonville to solidify their I'm not going to consider Jacksonville a like really deep run playoff team until I can see production out of camp because it could have just been a fluke, realistically.
I'm
Well, and they've
gonna
added Calvin Ridley, so that offense now, how he meshes with everything will be interesting to see.
I'm gonna go with Arizona. I think that the Cardinals need to have a pretty solid camp, and I think that their offense is gonna need to really come out and show that it can be productive with Kyler Murray. I think that this is a fan base that might start to be worrying. I think that, you have a new staff, you have um a new outlook. It's time to show that it was some coaching stuff and not the players, I think that there's a lot of reason to have hope if you're a Cardinals fan. I think there's also a lot of reasons to be a little bit worried if you're a Cardinals fan. I'd like to see them have a nice hot start to the season. I think that starts with camp.
Well, and Kyler Murray says that he wants to play week 1. He wants to be ready to go week 1. We'll see if he can do it. I think it's got to be the Jets. The Jets have gone all in. Now, it's not like they could stay, they couldn't stand pat at quarterback. They obviously had to do something, but they've gone all in on Aaron Rodgers. They've let Rodgers kind of dictate things, bringing in all of his former Packer buddies. And my favorite part is that they absolutely did not want to be on Hard Knocks, and now they are. And so not only do they must have a good camp and show that this truly is a team that can compete for a Super Bowl, because that's what everybody expects now. And they have to do it with the cameras of HBO right in their faces. I love it. I think that they're going to be the most fun camp to watch, as well as a team that must have a good camp. They cannot break camp and look like the same old Jets. Otherwise, the fan base will give up on them quite quickly.
I think
All
it's
right.
going to be a fun Hard Knocks. I do. I think it's going to
Yeah.
be great seeing Aaron Rodgers do all his interviews from a dark room in pitch black. I think it's going to be great, dude.
Yeah, I love the fact that not one member of the Jets wants to be on this show, and they don't have a choice. It should be a lot of fun. Okay. Following camp and preseason, we're going to get into the season. Which team from each conference is going to surprise us and be better than we think? Tommy, go ahead and start.
I'll start right
Who's
off.
going to be better?
I mean, we're just gonna go through the whole list, or do I start with like the AFC North?
No. Just give me an AFC team and an NFC team.
I'll give one AFC team right now, and I think that Pittsburgh is that team. They have a lot of young assets. I mean, Kenny Pickett he's something. I mean, we could see some real star power out of that kid. And I mean, I just think that Najee Harris is underutilized in some ways. He's been mediocre, but sophomore slump, I think he's going to be good. And I would love to see Pittsburgh make the playoffs, I think they'll be a quality football team, maybe a 10-win team, And then if we're talking about the NFC, there's a lot of teams that I could bring up, but the one I'm going to bring up is the Falcons. I love the Falcons. Right. I think that Desmond Ridder is going to be real good. I think that now that, and then Bijan Robinson just got drafted. I think that Drake London and Kyle Pitts combination is actually going to be what we thought it should have been last year. I mean, there's a lot of potential here.
And they don't play in a challenging division, so they could easily win 10 games playing against those guys. All right, I like it. I like those picks. And George Pickens, back to the Steelers. This is a guy who looks like he is going to be a stud for a lot of years to come. He was a great rookie wide receiver with a rookie quarterback. Give him a quarterback with some experience. Now that Pickett's got that, I think Pickens could be a sleeper 1,300, 1,400 yard kind of guy.
I'll come in here with some shocking surprises for you, I guess. My surprise from the AFC, it's going to be the New York Jets. I don't know. I think they're going to pull it through. I think they are. Not only do I think they're going to pull it through, I think that we're going to see how bad Buffalo truly is. Okay, they're living in this beautiful spot post Brady. Okay, it seems like the East is still a tough division, but was it really? I don't know. We'll find out when they have some real competition. Okay, so I like the Jets on the AFC side there. On the NFC, let's talk about the team that we loved on this show so much last year, the Detroit Lions, baby. Now, the draft scared me a little bit. There were some moves that I was like, and I think we all know what I'm talking about here. But dude, how can you not just buy in, man? This team had such a rough start. They end 9-8 on the cusp of a playoff berth. I think that they can carry the momentum from last season into this one. Going back to the last topic, even if you're talking about teams that need to have a good camp, I think it's Detroit. Talk about needing to carry what you got. Yeah, dude, I'm a believer for one more year. And then if this doesn't work out, I'll jump off the Detroit bandwagon. But goodness, man, I love them. I love the Lions right now. So that's going to be my surprise team from the NFC.
All right, for me, I'm going to go in the AFC. I think, and this is it pains me to say this, I think the Denver Broncos are going to be a playoff team this year. I think the Denver Broncos, they're not going to win the division, but they will be a wild card team. They will be a playoff team in 2023. The years of futility comes to a close. The Denver Broncos make the playoffs.
Ben, don't listen to him. He's trying to hurt you. Don't listen to him.
In the NFC,
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid.
In the NFC, I like the Carolina Panthers. I think that they've got now some dynamic play at quarterback. That's something that they have not had. They were a pretty good team last year with horrible quarterback play. I know there's going to be some growing pains for Bryce Young. He is not going to step in and be great, but the defense is really good. I really like Frank Reich as a coach, and I think that the Carolina Panthers are going to be a playoff team. And because the NFC is devoid of they really only have, 2 or 3 teams that are considered powers. all of the rest of the teams that make the playoffs could very easily make it into that division round. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's the Carolina Panthers. All right. Disappointing teams in each conference. Tommy, let's go ahead and start with you. The team that should be good and is not going to be good.
Team that should be good? Does this mean they have to be a playoff team
Yeah.
from last year? Or
It doesn't. It could just a team that people are high on.
a team that people are high on that I think is going to underperform expectations is Miami. And I know, Miami, they've been all this hype, and then Tua's gotten hurt and everything. We don't know what could have happened if Tua was healthy all year last year. They probably would have been great. But I think we're putting them on a pedestal of like a deep playoff run. And if they don't make that deep playoff run with Tua healthy all year, like it's just we're gonna be disappointed. I'm not saying they're gonna be bad. I think they'll be a playoff team if everything goes and pray that it does. Everything goes well, at least in the training room. But I can't see them really clutching up and winning out of the second round. I just don't. And until they make roster changes, and maybe if they get a really good running back, and they fluff up some other positions, I'll be a little more gracious to them. But as of right now, in this moment, not a big Dolphins guy. But
All right.
NFC, a team that I think is really going to disappoint, it's the Vikings. The Vikings for sure. I mean, this team was 13-4 last year, and I've never been more down on a 13-4 team or a 13-win team. Almost, I mean, they did lead
Yeah.
the conference. They're second in the conference in wins. So we've been talking about the Vikings and how they've been a fluke, but I'm thinking the fluke ends.
I like it. All right, Ben.
Yeah, I'm gonna start in the NFC. I'm gonna tell you that the New York Giants. I hate to break it to you, it's a 1-year deal for y'all. It was fun, and you really like your coach now, and that's great because he's probably gonna be around for a couple years off of it too. And you guys can all reminisce about how great his first year was, when you were barely scraping by and kicking those field goals at the end of the game. But you know what? In the future, it just shows you got to be good at football 60 minutes to be a consistently good team. I see the New York Giants just falling out. And speaking about having to be a consistent team all the time, I'm going to talk about the LA Chargers, bro. Staley's still the coach. That's amazing news for everyone who doesn't like the Chargers. Dude, just because you made it to the playoffs doesn't mean that you're a great coach. I still question almost every decision he made around Herbert's health last year. It made no sense to me about how they were handling that situation. And just because the results worked out, I don't know, it was a pretty embarrassing loss if you ask me. If the results worked out like just this one time, it doesn't mean that over the course of time you can continue to make these mistakes and still not face the consequences for your actions. I just don't see how LAC can maintain being a playoff team with Staley as coach.
Can I have
Fair
back to the
enough.
Giants real quick, just so I can mention something? I
Sure.
do agree with you that the Giants, they're not a four quarters football team, at least from what we've seen. But I think this is one of the teams we should have been talking about when regarding camps and what's super important coming out of camps. This was my second team to put up there because that wide receiver room is something. There could be some, I mean, if we're just talking about just off the top of my head, Isaiah Hodgins, Darius Slayton, Jalen Hyatt, they just got Paris Campbell, and then Jamison Crowder. They just got Jamison Crowder, and then obviously Sterling Shepard. Like that could end up being an incredibly deep wide receiver group. And if they come out of camp looking good, I think that they could end up being just as good as last year. Not better, but just as good.
Who's your running back if Barkley's out or if Barkley doesn't play?
Is it Matt Breida or is he gone?
I have no idea.
Wait, this is actually bad that I don't know this.
This was a legitimate question because I think that I still think that Barkley adds so much to this Giants team. and that's going to need to be figured out. Like
It is
I
Matt Breida.
don't see the Giants finding success without Barkley.
It is still Matt Breida. I'm pretty sure. That's what it says here, at least.
All right. My disappointment in the NFC is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. I think
Wow.
so. Defense
Tell 'em.
defense is hard to replicate from year on and year out.
You
I
let him
don't
cook.
think that I don't think they're going to have 4 guys who go out for 15 sacks like they did last year. They are not going to have the stud defensive line like they're expecting. They're going to be a good team, but they are not going to be a Super Bowl team. They're not going to. In fact, they may not even win their division, but they're definitely not going to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl
Yo.
because I think that they are going to miss Miles Sanders a lot more than they think they will. Jalen Hurts is a stud, but Miles Sanders was a huge part of that offense. And him down in Carolina playing for my surprise team, the Panthers, I think he is going to hurt the Eagles a lot. I think they're going to miss him. I would not at all be surprised if they go down and only win 10 or 11 games. The Cowboys win this division, and the Eagles go back to where they were 2 years ago, where they're losing in the first round of the playoffs. That is my disappointment in the NFC. My disappointment in the AFC is the Cincinnati Bengals. Also a very good team. They're going to be a playoff team, but they are not going to win the AFC North. The Baltimore Ravens are going to win that division. The Bengals are going to be just a wild card team. Instead of being the second best team in the AFC, which they have been over the last couple of years, they're going to be the 5th or 6th best team in the AFC. And Joe Burrow will still be good. He'll still be, he'll still put up good numbers, but this offense is not going to be nearly as good without P-Run. I think they're going to miss him a lot more than they realize. They're too big. Their 2 stud safeties are gone from last year. I think that is going to affect their defense a lot more than they realize. And I think the Baltimore Ravens, as long as they stay healthy, are going to be the NFC North champions. And the Bengals are going to be in the mix for a wild card team at the end of the year. Yes, I know those are 2 teams that people think are going to be Super Bowl teams this year. They are not going to be Super Bowl teams this year, neither the Eagles or the Bengals playing in Vegas in February. You heard it here first.
This is why I love Kyle Garlett. This man is cooking right now. This man is cooking.
Yeah, and those are my disappointments.
I mean, I'm honestly, like, I'm so with you on the Bengals. I think that the Bengals, like, with their defensive back just drop off and losing Perrine, and then, the Joe Mixon debacle. We don't know what's going to go on there, but hopefully, Dalvin Cook goes over there, and I'd look pretty good on social media. But the Eagles, that's wild. I'm like pretty on board with that, but I mean, we got to see a full season of that backfield before I can say anything, because I mean, now we got DeAndre Swift and Kenneth Gainwell. I've always been, and Rashad Penny too. Rashad Penny is no slouch. That's a good
Rashad Penny. How many games a year is he going to be around for? Like 3? I mean, when is the last? Look, I like Penny as a back, but he just never is there. Look, if Hurts plays like he did in the Super Bowl, then he'll be an MVP and they'll be fine. But I just don't think that he can. I mean, we've only seen him do that one year. I mean, if you remember, he went into last year, and there was a lot of talk about whether or not Jalen Hurts was actually the future of the Eagles. Now, he was a stud, and he balled out all year long, but he also had a lot of help around him. And I don't know. I mean, I can see them taking a step back, partly because their step forward that they took was so huge. I could see them just kind of, regressing to the mean a little bit and not being nearly as good as they were last year. And I just think that the Cowboys are a better team this year. And I think that, and I think the 49ers too. I think the Eagles may be the 3rd best team in the NFC, but I think that there's a pretty big gap between them and the 49ers.
I like that.
I agree. I also just think that with more tape and more time on Hurts, I just don't know if that production can, it's not taken away from him. It's just that he's up there now as one of the top quarterbacks that teams are getting prepared for and watching in the offseason, instead of just having like week to week to prepare. I'm not saying that he's going to be totally just neutralized or anything, but I think that when you have more time to scheme and it's not the pressure of, okay, we're facing him this week, that, teams are going to have a little bit
Mhm.
different of a game plan. And I'm excited to see how he comes out and plays against that, because that's when you find out what kind of player you got, is when they start planning against you and start making these shifts. How do you adjust and how do you play against it? I'm excited to see it.
Yeah. All right. Individual awards. Who is your MVP dark horse for this season?
Easy pickings. Easy, well, not, don't worry, not George Pickens, but easy pickings. I'm going Lamar Jackson. This dude stays healthy. He has a better receiving core somewhat. I mean, this team is like, if healthy, this team's looking to be, I mean, if we're talking about Kyle's prediction here, they could lead the division. And if we have a leading division team with a full season of Lamar Jackson when he's not hurt, and I know everybody says this every year, when he's not hurt, when he's not. One of these years, he's not going to be hurt, all right? One of them. We're not getting an RG3 out of him, all right? I'm really confident in the fact that he is going to be healthier this year. And if we see a really healthy Lamar, I mean, he already won an MVP, and nobody's talking about him being an MVP again. But come on now, this dude is good. This is a good football player, and that Baltimore Ravens offense needs him. And if he can succeed with them, and then, I mean, he's been a better thrower, like just in the pocket, just pocket passer. I mean, he's having like a better understanding of his surroundings. He's not scrambling when he doesn't need to anymore. I mean, he's gonna rush for 1,000 yards on a healthy year, and he could throw for 3,500. I mean, this is a very multi-dimensional player, and I just want to see him succeed. That might just be a little bit of bias.
Yeah. Well, he's plus 1,500 to win the MVP award. So he's a nice little payday.
Throw your
He
money
is,
down.
according to DraftKings, he is the seventh betting favorite behind Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Hurts, Herbert, and Lawrence. Those are all ahead of Lamar Jackson.
Herbert
Ooh.
and Lawrence are ahead of Lamar
I like
Jackson.
that.
They
I
they
like
are
that. That's
indeed.
bold.
They are
I don't know
Breakout
about
indeed.
season.
Herbert. I can see
Breakout
Lawrence,
season
but
for
Herbert's
T-Law.
crazy.
Uh,
All right,
my,
Ben, who is yours?
my dark horse is not just because the lights are out. It's gonna be Aaron Rodgers. Look, if this guy can do it in the biggest city, I think that just also plays into it, man. There's so many eyes. This is the biggest platform. This isn't small town Wisconsin farm. Okay, this is the big city. It's the Big Apple. And if he can deliver big time plays and turn this Jets, team into a winner, man, I think it's going to be hard. Obviously, we would have to see peak Rogers, but who's to say that that's gone? Who knows? Maybe he'll do it in New York while in the dark and tripping on whatever, all at the same time. I mean, whatever. That's my dark horse. There you go.
Well, he is paying 1,600. He's right behind. He's right behind our buddy there in Baltimore. And he is the eighth betting favorite on DraftKings is A-Rod. And hey, if he can make it in New York, he can make it anywhere, right? Is that what the song says?
That's what the kids are saying.
Yeah. So my dark horse is going to be Tua Tagovailoa, plus 2,000 to win the MVP award. And I know that his health is a huge question mark. And but when he was healthy last year, he led the NFL in yards per attempt. He led the NFL in deep pass EPA. He was second in first down rate, second and third down EPA, number 2 in passer rating, number 3 in TD percentage. The guy had an incredible season when he played. Now, obviously, he needs to play, but if he is healthy, I think that Miami offense is going to be something special. And if the Dolphins can win 11 to 12 games with this great offense, you got to recognize the quarterback some way. And I think it's with a MVP award at plus 2,000. Why not throw a couple of 10 spots on that? I'll put $20 down on that and take the money. Why not? He is my dark horse pick. I'm going to put money down on Mahomes again because I do it every year. But that's paying less and less each time because, he is now the stud. But I think Tua, great Dolphin offense, could have a big year if he can stay healthy. I know
I
that's
think
the caveat. It's the caveat with all these guys, but certainly with a guy like him.
I think that the fact that Josh Allen isn't in the dark horse conversation and he's in the main MVP conversation is kind of wild to me. I mean, this guy has not proven that he is like an MVP caliber player. I mean, we all know the Josh Allen now. He is a great quarterback. But the fact where is he on the list?
He's third. He's plus 800.
Plus 800 for a
Mahomes is
guy
first at plus 700, and then Burrow plus 750.
like the fact that this guy is within 100 of Patrick Mahomes and within 50 of Joe Burrow. I mean, also Joe Burrow, like we haven't seen too much of him, but like Josh Allen he's been here and he has not done what we expect him to do. He's great, but he's not the best. I think
Yes.
that we need to start considering Josh Allen to be a dark horse rather than just a headline, I don't think he should be like a mainstay in that top 3 anymore. I don't think you should put your money on Josh Allen. That's just me.
I don't disagree. All right. Our surprise defensive player of the year candidates. Who is going to shock us and win the big award for defensive players at the end of the year?
Ben, can you go first on this one?
Yeah,
'Cause I'm
I
between two
got you.
guys.
This isn't gonna shock anybody. Listen, when we find the playoff success that Kyle is talking about, it's coming off of the back of a young man with greatness, so great from his lineage that he's named after his father. I'm going with PS2. I'm going with Pat Surtain. I see a big year from him, and honestly, dude may be the best corner in the game. I'm not saying that. That's what the pros are saying. That's fact. You can look it up. I think that the dude is set up to succeed. I think that there's plenty of pieces in Denver to really just put him in a good position to catch some balls. And yeah, dude, I'm hoping that this is in fact the dude we think he is, the next great corner in Broncos history. Pat Surtain is my pick for
Well,
defensive
I
player.
think he's already a great cornerback. I don't think he's the next. I think he's established himself that. I'm a little surprised he's only paying plus 4,000.
What?
He is way down. He is pretty far down on the list.
Dude, I'm
Um,
sorry, but
I'm
even I
hammering
would put my
that.
money on that. Even
I'm
I put my
hammering
money
that.
on
Plus 4,000. At Sauce Gardner paying 1,500. So they've got Surtain
that is
almost 3
garbage.
times the long shot that Gardner is.
It's garbage.
I like that as a bet. Yeah, PS2. I think the guy is a stud. The only thing is that nobody's going to be throwing. He's probably not going to have the interception numbers because people aren't going to throw at him because he's that good. But he shuts down half the field every week. It's going to be noticed. And so yeah, no, I'm a fan of his for sure. He's fun to watch. And if the Broncos are going to go to the playoffs, it's because of that defense. And he is the best player on that defense. No question about it.
Kyle, I got my guy. I
All
think
right,
you
who
might.
you got?
There's a real chance you got to keep scrolling down that list because this is going to come out of nowhere.
All right.
Give me Matthew Judon.
Matthew Judon. Okay, I got him. He's right
Now-
here. He's plus 5,000.
Now listen to this. Since joining the Patriots, his first year as a Patriot, he had 60 combined tackles and 12 and a half sacks. His sophomore year as a Patriot, his second year as a Patriot, and mind you, these are not great Patriots teams.
Mhm.
And he is the mainstay, the figurehead, the guy that's on all the posters for the Patriots defensive squadron. Last year he had 60 combined tackles and 15 and a half sacks. This dude had 15 and a half sacks and he was the guy that was getting double teamed. He was that guy. Now, I'm just saying, if he's statistically, if he progresses the exact same rate as he did from these last 2 seasons, he'll be at 18 and a half sacks. That's obviously in a perfect world. But this guy, Matthew Judon, is no joke. He is going to be in that conversation once he starts lighting up real good quarterbacks. And I think that if that plus 5,000 money, plus 5,000 come on now. Come on. There's got to be somebody out there that's willing to take a little risk. Come on.
Throw $10 down for the chance to win 500. Why not?
Whew. On 15.5 sacks, that's a beautiful payout. And this dude's young, too. I mean, he's only been playing since 2016.
Yeah, no, he's a stud. No question about it. I'm going to kind of go that same direction. My guy, not nearly the long shot that Judon is, but I'm going to go with Brian Burns, plus 2,500. Again, I think the Panthers are going to have a fun season. I think he is a fun player, a lot of fun to watch. Guy's going to get to the quarterbacks, going to make plays on defense. And I think he's going to get recognized for it. He is my outside pick to be the defensive player of the year. I really just, the Panthers kind of fizzled out there at the end of last year, but I think that they are going to be a good team all season long. And even when they don't win, they're always going to be in games. And I think they're going to be a fun team to watch. All right, gentlemen, moving on to week 1. The week 1 game you are most looking forward to watching. The best game of the first week.
This might be a weird one.
Okay.
But I'm rocking that 1 p.m. Panthers-Falcons game.
It'll be a fun game. Absolutely.
I mean, those are very interesting, unknown offenses. We're basically going to get a first look at both of these teams with Bijan and those guys. I mean, this is 2 really young rosters too, and they both have incredible potential. So I would love to see them duke it out and getting our first Bryce Young look. I mean, I don't even care about that as much as seeing just both teams just duke it out.
I like that. That's a good pick.
That is fun. That is fun. It's hard because the Broncos are in fact playing the Raiders. That is a beloved rivalry. But I will step away from that for a second. I'm going to go with the Dolphins and the Chargers at that 4:25 Eastern spot. I think that these are 2 very equally matched teams. And I think this could be fun, dude. This could be some high level competition early on into the year. Let's see it, dude.
I like that. I like that pick a lot. The game that I am really looking forward to is the Bears and the Packers. The post Aaron Rodgers era, the quarterback who has owned the Bears is no longer there. Chicago picked to finish higher than the Packers in the division. Is it for real? Can they actually be the better team? They get to try it off in week 1 at home, taking on the Jordan Love-led Green Bay Packers. Is Justin Fields ready to take that next step forward and go from being an athletic freak to being an actually good quarterback? I want to watch that game because I think that that's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to foretell a lot of things for the season for those 2 teams and for the NFC North. Those are our top picks for our top games for game 1. For week 1, we'll obviously, as we get to the games, we'll be picking those games and all of the games when we get ready for our regular season opening extravaganza. It'll be a show of all shows when we get ready to kick off the season. Till we get to that, though, and before we close out tonight, we have one last new segment that we're going to start this year, courtesy of Mr. Travis Kelce.
If you want to talk your shit, pimp.
That is right. We are going to talk a little shit before we say good night. Tommy, Ben, who would like to talk his shit first?
Let me hand it off to Ben. I've been talking first a lot.
Okay.
All right, Ben.
All right. I told Kyle when this originally came up, I wouldn't take a shot at the defending world champs. And I won't, But I will take a shot at some of this Facebook stuff I've seen from Chiefs Kingdom popping up since this past Super Bowl, talking about a moment from the game where McKinnon chose to not score a touchdown. This very much, in a lot of ways, sealed, not in a lot of ways, it did. It just sealed the game for the Kansas City Chiefs, making them world champions once again. And this point that I've seen all over from Chiefs Kingdom online is this dude could have scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl, but he's not. He's a team player, and he didn't score the touchdown. In fact, he helped the Chiefs win. Here's my question to you. What's the alternative? Okay, like what he runs in and then the Eagles pull off a miraculous comeback and you all sit around and talk about how much you hate him? Come on now. This isn't about emotions in the moment. This is about football IQ. And now I understand Chiefs Kingdom. The football IQ that you were watching was Matt Castle and Trent Green for years and years. And this is coming as a shock to some of y'all. But the dude was trying to win a game. You know what's cooler than telling your kids that you scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl? Showing them the ring that you won from winning the Super Bowl. Okay, I love it. I do. I agree. It's the correct move. But let's stop just butt kissing the correct move in that position. Okay, like that's how you win football games. Is you think in between the ears. And yes, it would have been great for him to score a touchdown. I get all of that. But let's come on. Come on. He's just playing football. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I got for you.
It's interesting that you chose Matt Castle and Trent Green because they're probably two of the better quarterbacks over the previous 20 years that the Chiefs have had.
I know, and they were still
You left out.
crap.
You left out.
So crap.
I mean, shit. If we're gonna talk about
Yeah,
people that have
yeah,
suffered from their
yeah,
fan
you-
base, Kyle deserves this generation talent. You know, he
We're
went through
leaving
the
out
shit.
Brody Croyle and Matt Blunden
And
and
I'm not saying that
Tyler
Kyle doesn't
Palco
deserve it.
and-
I'm not saying that Kyle doesn't deserve it, mind you. I'm just saying once you get a good team, let's all pretend like we all want to win instead of pretending like this is a single glory
No,
game, you know?
I don't disagree with you. That he made the right. What we saw it was the Falcons and Rams a couple of years ago where it was at the Rams running back didn't stop. The Falcons carried him on into the end zone, and then they went down and scored. Maybe I got the teams reversed, but it was the same thing where he did not stop, scored a touchdown, and then they went down and lost the game because of that. So yeah, no, it was the right call, and we don't need to applaud everybody for doing their job the way they're supposed to. These are professionals, and McKinnon is not new to the league. So yeah, no, I don't disagree with you there. All right, Tommy.
If you want to talk your shit, pimp.
I do want to. Mine is going to be about I guess not necessarily a team, but a player and a fan base that we haven't spoken about much. We've only spoken about their backfield, and that's Cleveland. Now let's talk about Cleveland right now because it's starting to really make me upset about how many people are I can't say that where they are riding Deshaun Watson and that Cleveland Browns squad like they're going to do anything except for get a 500 record at best next year. Stop talking about how Deshaun Watson is like the next generation of your team. You guys haven't had a real winning season. I mean, okay, you can count 2020 maybe, but other than 2020, it's been since 2007. The last 2 years, you've had losing records. You pay this dude $200 million guaranteed, and he goes out there and plays like AJ McCarron when he first started playing when he got drafted. Like, I don't understand it. It is ridiculous. This team they're losing players. They're not great. This offense is just mediocre. And then they're talking about Donovan Peoples-Jones. Like, this dude is a second-rate receiver getting thrown to by a third-rate quarterback. This offense is going to suck. I'm not just saying, like, this offense is going to be one of the worst offenses in the league because guess what? There's no passing attack right now, so what are they going to do? Hand the ball off to Nick Chubb, and guess what's going to happen? Every team is going to know that all they're going to do is hand off to Nick Chubb and overthrow balls worse than Jimmy Garoppolo. This is awful. It is terrible. Stop talking about Cleveland. I'm sick of it. They suck.
And that doesn't even get into the human being that Deshaun Watson is.
Don't even talk.
So, yeah.
I could get into a whole rant, but I've had my rant. I've had my spot. You know, my
All
spotlight. I didn't turn off the spotlight. You know.
Okay, now it's my turn.
If you want to talk your shit, pimp.
So I did not know that Ben was going to bash Chiefs fans because I'm actually going to bash Chiefs and Bengals fans a little, or Bills fans a little bit. Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes are actually friends. They actually like each other a lot. They respect each other a lot. And there is this online war that every time anyone does something, either the two quarterbacks, the other team's fan base has to go ape shit. They were playing together in a celebrity golf tournament over the weekend, and somebody had set up a basketball hoop, and they both got thrown a basketball, and they both nailed the shot on their first attempt. Bills fans decided to go off because Patrick took a step and Josh didn't take a step when he took it, and how that was proof that Josh was better than Patrick because he took a step and Josh just flicked it with his wrist. So stupid. These guys are both enjoyable to watch. I enjoy both quarterbacks. I've been guilty of this at time or two in the past. I admit you start to hate on a guy because you always lose to that guy. Well, I'm sorry, Bills fans. Yes, you are going to always lose to Patrick Mahomes because he is just the better quarterback. He is a better golfer. He's a much better baseball player. And he actually was a basketball player in high school. I admit I have no idea what kind of basketball player Josh Allen is. I don't have any idea what kind of girlfriend that Josh Allen has. But yet you Bills fans continue to shit all over Mahomes' wife because he's better than your guy at football. And the Chiefs fans aren't immune from this. They do the same thing after Burrow beat them in the playoffs. And well, where your rings? And I've done the same thing. I mean, don't talk your shit if you haven't won any rings, but can we just appreciate players for being good? Can I not look? Jalen Hurts was amazing in the Super Bowl. There's no other way to put it. Had the Eagles won, he would have been the obvious MVP of the game. But Chiefs fans want to dog on him because he didn't win. And it's like, just relax. Everybody can enjoy everybody. I'm a football fan. I'm a Chiefs fan. And obviously, I want Patrick Mahomes to do everything and win every award, which he kind of did at the ESPYs. If you watch that, he won best male athlete, best NFL athlete. The Chiefs won best team. Just recapping that for you, Bills fans and Bengals fans. But can we just also enjoy these guys for the talent that they are? They're probably all good dudes. They just don't happen to play for your team. So now you decide to hate on them. You don't have to hate somebody just because they play for another team. Now, that's obviously does not count the Raiders. You can hate everybody on the Raiders, but anybody else, go ahead and like them as football players. You don't have to hate them just because they don't play for your team. Enjoy the talent of these guys. We are in a golden age of quarterbacks. 10, 15 years ago, we had a lot of shit quarterbacks. Now we've got a lot of great quarterbacks. Let's enjoy it. Let's have fun. Let's enjoy football. I can sit down and I can watch any of the 32 teams play because I like football. Like football, people. Don't hate any of these guys just because they play for a bad team. Hate them because they're Deshaun Watson and they're scummy, scumbag human beings who deserve to be in prison. All right, that is all.
For all the audio
Holy
listeners,
shit.
I wish you were watching this right now because Ben and I are cracking up. Muted. It's just ridiculous.
He said you can't talk
Yeah.
shit if you don't have rings. Like that was just a brief point, like a brief bullet point. That's so funny.
We really gotta let Kyle cook, man. Look at this. We're free now. We're uncensored. He can say whatever he wants.
Yeah,
I mean, like
I feel
when
bad though, Kyle. Like
in 2018, it looked like Patrick Mahomes was a physically more gifted quarterback than Tom Brady. But Mahomes had 0 rings and Brady had all the rings. So you didn't get to talk shit as a Chiefs fan. And a lot of Chiefs fans still did talk shit. It's like, no, the guy has all the fucking rings and you don't have any. You don't get to do that. And now the Bills and the Bengals don't get to do that because like Jamar. So this is where the Travis Kelce soundbite comes from is Jamar Chase. So Burrow said Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL right now, and Jamar Chase said Patrick who? And so Travis Kelce, of course, said you don't get to talk your shit, boy. And And so after the Chiefs got their Super Bowl rings, Patrick posts a little picture and he says, "This who?" And he's got his 2 rings there on his hand. It's just enjoy, guy. I don't know. I mean, I don't have any problem with Jamar Chase standing up for his quarterback, but don't say something like Patrick who. That's just stupid. That just makes you sound dumb. Just say, yeah, Patrick is a great quarterback. I like my guy. Everybody will understand that. That's fine to do.
Well,
anyway,
in their defense, Kyle, Bills Mafia was only upset about Patrick Mahomes taking a shot before the basketball because that's the only championship Josh Allen's going to get him. Okay? Like, that's their Super Bowl. That's the closest thing they're going to get.
The one thing that Josh can beat him at. Oh, look at him, like, oh, goodness.
And he
Josh
didn't
Allen.
even beat him. They just tied. What are you going to do?
Yeah, they tied. They tied.
They literally
so.
scored the exact same amount of points. What is going on?
Anyway, I
what a
I've been wanting to get that off my chest because I just hate to see people hating on guys for no reason other than the uniform they wear, except for Raiders fans. That's fine. You hate on everybody that wears silver and black.
This was really Kyle Garlett football therapy, wasn't it?
Although I do have to say that I'm a Max Crosby fan, and I can't. I want to hate him so badly because he's a Raider, and I have a hard time doing it because he is the kind of football player I really wish the Chiefs had.
My favorite Raiders player of all time is Sebastian Janikowski.
Yeah.
Who else am I gonna say?
And I love that
what are we talking
I love
about?
that Seabass always wore like the tightest uniform, and when they would wear the all whites, my God, he looked like the Michelin Man out there kicking.
It looks so good. And then it's like the uniform was really tight, but then the sleeves were really long, so it looked really unproportionate.
I remember
the big marshmallow guy from Ghostbusters.
I remember back when they were doing the Madden 13 and 14 cover votes, and they would have 2 players from every team, and you'd see quarterbacks, running backs, corners, whatever, and then the Raiders were always just a kicker and their punter because that's the only dudes.
I mean, okay, realistically though, the Raiders pump out some great punters.
You have to. You have to when you punt as often as they do. Are you kidding?
I mean, kicking deep field goals and punting balls is just like Raider football right there. Committing crimes is in there too,
I do want to say to any Raiders fans who are just discovering us, when the season starts and we're making picks, we're giving you suggested picks for the week, we will not have any bias. It will all be about winning money at that point. As much as we hate silver and black, if the silver and black can win green, we will happily put money down on the silver and black. So, yes, we're going to bash on the Raiders a little bit, but once the season starts and we're making those picks, don't you worry. We will steer you in the right direction.
You don't even want to know how many
times.
Even
on Raiders games.
You don't even want to know how many times last season, even though I hated this team, I was picking them and still losing.
You heard it here first, Raiders Nation. When we don't pick you, it's not because we hate you. It's because you have a bad football team. That's it. That's what you got going.
Hey, Ben wasn't picking the Broncos when they were losing, and that's his team. It's not biased. It's just facts.
Give me a 14-point spread, and I still won't hit it.
And that's why I picked the Niners every week, because it's not biased. It's just facts.
Well, guys, it's great to be back. We have enjoyed our couple months off, but now. So we've got our pre-camp show here. Camp's going to start here soon. We're going to have a couple weeks of camp. We are then going to come on. We're going to do another show before the preseason starts so we can look at the position battles and the teams that we think are worth paying attention to during the preseason. And then after that, right before the opening kickoff, before the Chiefs and the Lions kick off that opening Thursday night, we will have our week 1 extravaganza where we pick all 16 games. We'll do some picks for the season. We'll do some actual awards picks. And it'll be, you definitely not going to want to miss that as we are here to help you make the most money you can here in the 2023 NFL season. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Tommy, it's late in Connecticut no, you're in Massachusetts now. What am I talking
Mass
about?
Right now.
late in Springfield, Mass. Ben's just getting started. He's our comedian. He's out and about. He's a man of the town. I am the old guy, so I'm going to be going to bed here shortly here in Colorado. But guys, I cannot wait to talk it all season long. It's here. Football is back, baby. Man, that the time from February to July feels like about a decade.
Yeah.
So,
Welcome
on
back
behalf,
to NFL points, picks,
yes,
and props.
yes. As you can see, we have a Twitter account, we have a TikTok account, we have a Threads account now, just in case Twitter decides to go belly up. You can find us on the gram, as the kids call it. It is all of those. Our address is the same at all of those places at NFL_PPP. NFL points, picks, and props. On behalf of Tommy Burch in Massachusetts, Ben O'Connell in Chicago, and me, Kyle Garlett in Denver, Colorado. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next time when the preseason gets ready to kick off. Good night, everybody.